Hey, welcome to the Daily presented by EA Sports FIFA 12 for Wednesday, October 5th. I'm Katie Witham alongside Greg Lalas here at Red Bull Arena, New York, coming up with a huge 2-0 win over the LA Galaxy, really solidifying their playoff spot, and they did it with style.
Yeah, they did. And Katie, it was really a lot about Thierry Henry and Luke Rogers up top. The two strikers for the Red Bulls came out and had a terrific game. Luke Rogers gets a goal, Thierry Henry gets a goal as well. And this was the kind of game for the Red Bulls that everyone's been talking about how they're struggling and all of that kind of thing. But you know what? Only one loss in their last 6 games. 3 straight shutouts now for the Red Bulls, and they come up against the best team in Major League Soccer, and they get a 2-0 victory to solidify their playoff spot. This is a Red Bulls team that is finding its form. It's finding its feet again. Their head coach, Hans Backe, after the match even said this was the best, well-balanced game we've had all season. So a little bit of the translation maybe lost there, but the point got across.
Well, and a lot of the talk this week in the newspapers coming into this game was Rafa Marquez, his play specifically, but he showed up tonight.
Yeah, he did, and he got an assist on Thierry Henry's goal. Beautiful long ball out of the midfield, and there's a lot of talk about what's his position. So he played in the midfield tonight, just like he did in Toronto. He was booed in the first half, which is amazing to think about a player of Rafa Marquez's stature being booed. But when he came off in the second half, he got a standing ovation and a huge cheer, and he was classy about it himself and acknowledged that for the fans themselves.
On the other side of things, for the LA Galaxy, they just didn't look like themselves tonight.
No, they didn't. And I actually spoke to Frankie Hayduk after the game, and he said, you know what, they're tired. They've been traveling a lot. And let's not forget, this was a Galaxy team that was missing Landon Donovan, missing Robbie Keane, missing Sean Franklin, and Mike McGee. A lot of very valuable players, obviously, for this side. Look, they're in a perfect position. They still just need 2 points to win the Supporters' Shield. 2 games left. I think that they're perfectly fine. They didn't really worry about this one so much.
Well, this was not just the only game here on Tuesday. We had a big US Open Cup match, Chicago Fire taking on the Seattle Sounders. And for more on that match, we're going to go to Jason Saghini and Simon Borg.
Thanks so much, guys. Well, as you can see, the celebration continues here at CenturyLink Field as the Seattle Sounders win 2-0 over the Chicago Fire, their 3rd U.S. Open Cup title. Huge game tonight. What did you think of it?
There were definitely some tense moments. It wasn't like Seattle ran away with it. They held possession in the first half, but Chicago did very well to slow things down. Seattle wasn't really getting anything out of set pieces in the first half, but when it came down to it in the second half, Seattle wore them down. Logan Paws even said after the game, they wore us down. They were able to break through. Freddie Montero, he's a poacher. He sits himself in front of the goalkeeper, he finds the ball, and he knocks it in. It's exactly what he did. Gave them a lead, and then from there, Chicago just wasn't able to break through Seattle's defense.
Now, this is the 3rd U.S. Open Cup title, like we just mentioned, for the Seattle Sounders, and they won that in as many years that they've been a franchise. What do you think this says about the organization?
Obviously, they'll do anything they can to win. They put a precedence on this tournament, which a lot of people don't. You know, fans out there, they criticize Seattle for buying their way to a championship. We spoke with Adrian Hanauer. He said everything we do is within the rules. We do all we can to put our players in a position to win. We'll see what happens in the coming years, if there are any changes to the tournament. But I'll tell you what, Seattle's going to keep doing it. They're going to do whatever they can, and they put on a great show. You can't really deny that this was probably the best U.S. Open Cup final we've seen ever.
Casey Keller said that they still have one more cup to win, that being the MLS Cup. With this momentum, what do you think their chances are moving forward?
I mean, it shows when you play in a tournament like this and you're playing elimination games, there's a little something extra that it takes to win those games, and that's what playoff games come down to. So we've seen Seattle fizzle out in the playoffs the past couple of years. This could be, I mean, you could have said it any of the past years, could be what gets them over the hump. They have all the pieces to be an MLS Cup contender. The LA Galaxy look good throughout the course of the season. You probably have to put Real Salt Lake, but Seattle is just as much a favorite as any of those teams, I think, to take home MLS Cup.
Well, an exciting match here at CenturyLink Field. Quite the Super Tuesday today. Well, that's going to wrap it up here for us. Make sure to check back on MLSsoccer.com as we'll have tons of coverage from this game here in Seattle.